Purpose podcast with David C. Henderson, and this is the health and fitness tip of the week. As always, these tips are also published weekly in the Tuskegee News. They're also available. The written version is also available on Facebook page for Power Living with Purpose podcast. And all of those links can be found at davidchenderson.com. It's also available on Instagram and live Facebook and all that Facebook video, all that stuff too as well. All right, should be getting on Spotify and other podcast apps starting next month. All right, now this week's tip is called a healthy response to disappointing news. As I made it clear in my two videos this week, I was disappointed in the news about Jackson State and Deion Sanders. However, I never personally attacked Deion, called him any names. I never called him a sellout. Never called him a coon. None of that stuff. No, I did not. I have the utmost respect for Deion, but I said I was disappointed in the news, and I also pointed out about how money is actually made, how more money is made in football off the field, not as a paycheck for the coach. So I was just pointing out the fact that he can make way more money off the field than ever would get from a paycheck to a coach. And then the second video was about just saying that we gotta agree that we can be disagreeable. We can disagree without being disagreeable, and we shouldn't be going back and forth amongst each other, calling each other names, and you stupid, you idiot, you a sellout, you a buffoon, all this stuff. So this week's health tip, staying on kind of on topic with it, just to wrap this subject up, is a healthy response to disappointing news. All right. I mean, we may even have, for other people out there, you might have been a real big Herschel Walker supporter. You're disappointed he didn't win, even though you kind of, should have seen that coming. But anyway, all right. So we've had a discussion for a week. The pro-choice people that it was okay for Deion to leave, and the pro-life people saying we wanted to see more life invested into black colleges. However, we can do that ourselves, people. We don't have to rely on Deion Sanders to save us. He's not the only person who can save HBCUs. We can do it all collectively. There are multiple millionaires and some billionaires, black millionaires and billionaires, in every city that surrounds a HBCU. Many of them graduated from these black colleges, or some of them graduated from these black colleges, and there's no reason why their college should be crumbling. Howard, Diddy, just for example, to you, Lionel Richie. Basically, we can do everything we need. We can do anything we put our minds to, and if all of the celebrities and athletes, the successful black athletes and celebrities over the last 50 years would have supported whatever the closest HBCU is to them, it wouldn't even be a conversation. They would all have billion-dollar endowments, and we wouldn't even be having this conversation. We would have been on the level with Division I football decades ago. All right. So anyway, the people who are disappointed right now, also people in Jackson and Mississippi, all that stuff, they're probably highly disappointed as well. But you can't lose your mind when bad news comes out. All right. Millions of people we see on social media, going back and forth, fighting, arguing. Some people call me an idiot because I pointed out the 10% way money is made is where 90% of the money is made on the 10% side. That's the off the field side, not the paycheck side. But anyway, and when it comes to sports, we should already learn a lesson about bad news and bad occurrences. Because you've seen plenty of times where your team does good during the season, but then they lose in the playoffs or in the championship game. You can go undefeated. You have an undefeated season and lose in the Super Bowl or the playoff, or the finals or whatever. But life goes on. Okay. It didn't it may you know, hopefully you didn't bet too much money on it, or it or whatever. Hopefully it doesn't affect you too much personally, because at the end of the day, life goes on. And just like in politics, if your candidate doesn't win, regardless of what the polls may have said, and even if they were a better candidate, they still can lose. Hillary Clinton, still can lose. You know, still can lose even if they're a way better candidate. All right, and way more qualified. But life goes on, and there's plenty of work, as I pointed out in previous health tips and messages. There's plenty of work to be done in your city, your neighborhood, your city, your state, and that can be done 365 days a year, instead of always complaining about who didn't get in the office and so forth. Same thing for legislation that doesn't get passed right away. George Floyd Policing Act, you know, Justice and Policing Act. You collectively, we can form movements that push for change, regardless of what goes wrong, who's in office, who's not in office, how hard the fight may be, who's the head coach in the, of the team, who's not the head coach, or whoever, you know. And for our community, when a business closes down, yeah, that's a terrible disappointment. Or when a big economic engine like Dion leaves a city, okay, yeah, we're mad, we're sad, and all that stuff. But at the same time, anybody can start a new business, or a new revenue generator, or a new source of income, economic empowerment there. And all they need is a good idea and the right funding or investment, and then support to keep to get it going, and then support to keep it going. So when there is news that's disappointing, you have to respond to it in a healthy way, that doesn't raise your blood pressure, that doesn't end up with you getting cramps in your thumb because you can't stop typing. Oh no, I'm gonna tell them off, I'm gonna tell them down, you know, having these comment wars and all that stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Just chill out. It's life is gonna go on. All right. So one quote from one of my favorite YouTubers, Dr. Myron Golden, who's a biblical business advisor. He says, "Is no such thing as a one-sided object. You can't have one-sided piece of paper. It's another side to it. You can't have one-sided coin. It's another side to it. Your hand has two sides." Basically, there's always another side of the story, and typically a brighter side to every dark side. So first, we have to understand that most victories for something that we want to see, the change we want to see in the world, most victories have taken time. They're long fought efforts that take time. Most large scale movements don't happen overnight. All right. Just like health and fitness. Like, if you want to be healthier by next year, start this year. It takes weeks. It takes months. It doesn't, yeah, you can lose some weight every week. You can lose some weight every month. But in terms of long-term lifestyle change, it takes a while to get into the habit of staying consistent. All right. Nothing changes overnight except the position of the moon. All right. So in terms of Dion, yeah, many of us, we're disappointed, but life goes on. And as soon as you start feeling disappointed, that's a sign that you should be thinking about a solution. All right. So we saw the blueprint was laid. Dion laid a blueprint. He showed us that you can bring a celebrity coach in and bring a program to a whole nother level. You know, I think other coaches, famous coaches, have done it. You can see with Penny Hardaway at University of Memphis. What's the name? I think somebody at Tennessee State, yeah, somebody there. But maybe I'm pulling for so we can get us a celebrity down here at Tuskegee University, maybe. But we got a blueprint laid, so let's work the system, let's work the blueprint. And overall, and then like I said, there have been, from the time that Black people started making money in entertainment and making like millions of dollars in entertainment and sports, what, for the last 50-60 years or so, all everybody had to do was support whatever the school that's close to them, and that black college would have turned, HBCU would have turned out more millionaires who can give back, keep the process going. That's how it works in the big college system, in the big, you know, PWI system. But they've been doing it they've been doing it for I guess a little bit longer, 100, maybe 100 more years, but they have more money that they're giving back, and we're not. We're more focused on Bentleys and Rolls Royces and how much money you can spend on diamonds and chains and how much money you can spend at a strip club, and how much you can just flash and all that stuff, as opposed to actually investing in your neighborhood and into black colleges. All right, so let's never think that anything is ever about one person, one political candidate, one team, one season, one coach, one income source, one revenue generator. Any of that. Don't ever think that everything rises and falls based on one thing, one person. None of that. It doesn't. No. Collectively, we can do anything as Americans, Black Americans, as any people of any country, of any place, any community, anywhere in the world. You can get together, put your minds together, put your heads together, and accomplish anything. There's nothing that any type of bad news can stop you from, as a community that's focused and has a game plan and is together and doesn't spend all their time arguing and fussing and calling each other's names. So I strongly suggest, the main thing when you get and hear bad news, take a minute, absorb it in, but then immediately right after that, start focusing on the solution and get active in the solution. Right now, let's all support Black colleges as much as possible. Donate what you can. Use whatever leverage or fame or fortune that you have to uplift the systems that can uplift thousands and thousands of young graduates every year, to go on to become the next generation of millionaires who can give back and keep it going. All right, well, that'll be it for this week. Stay positive, stay powerful, and God bless. I'm still getting used to this thing. Oh, there you go.